Indian Prime Minister Narendra Modi welcomed Indian Air Force pilot Wing Commander Abhinandan. PM Modi tweeted, and I quote, "Welcome home, Wing Commander Abhinandan. The nation is proud of your exemplary courage. Our armed forces are an inspiration for 130 crore Indians. Vande Mataram," unquote. People across India celebrated Abhinandan's return with fireworks and patriotic slogans. A pilot has become the human face of the most recent conflict between the two nations. The governor of Washington State, Jay Inslee, announced his run for 2020 presidential polls. Jay made his announcement in a web video which was entirely focused on the issue of tackling climate change. He said that he's running for president because he, quote-unquote, the only candidate who can make defeating climate change #1 priority. The video conveyed just how long Jay has been warning about the issue, including clips of his tenure in the House of Representatives, where he served from 1999 to 2012. US-backed Syrian forces resume military operations to take back Baghouz, which is the last piece of territory held by the Islamic State group in Syria. Syrian Democratic Forces said that the last batch of civilians were evacuated on Friday, and the military operations had resumed by the end of the day. The military campaign to uproot the militants from the eastern banks of the Euphrates began in September, pushing them down toward the last corner in the village of Baghouz near the Iraqi border. Group of Yazidi women and children returned to Iraq from Syria. The group includes 3 women and 18 children. They were greeted by residents of Sinuni, which is a Yazidi town north of Sinjar mountain. Group's return was confirmed by the Kurdistan regional government. Now, the women and children returned to Iraq more than 4 years after Islamic State militants launched an assault on Sinjar, the Yazidi heartland, on August 2014. Militants shot, beheaded, burned alive, or kidnapped more than 9,000 members of the minority region. The Trump administration slapped sanctions on 6 high-ranking Venezuelan security officials for obstructing the delivery of humanitarian aid into their country. The Treasury Department said that 6, including officials with the National Guard and police, are allied with Maduro, who has closed Venezuela's borders with Brazil and Colombia to prevent assistance from countries opposed to his continued rule from entering. The sanctions block any assets that they have in U.S. jurisdictions and bar Americans from conducting financial transactions with them. Spanish government said that it wants to grant a broad range of rights to British people living in Spain, even in case of a no-deal Brexit. Spain said that it is preparing to issue new residency permits to some 400,000 British citizens, some 300,000 Britons who are already legal residents are included in that number. But they will now need a new type of residence card. Madrid said that it also is offering continuing free care in the Spanish Public Health Service to British residents for a 21-month period after Brexit, if Britain offers the same towards Spaniards. Thousands of people took to the streets of Algeria to protest against President Abdelaziz Bouteflika's plans to seek a 5th term in office. Several protesters were draped in the Algerian flag and carried placards and banners. This was Algeria's biggest anti-government demonstration since the Arab Spring 8 years ago. Protests were mostly peaceful, but as crowds receded by late afternoon, scuffles broke out in the capital, Algiers. between police and protesters near the presidential palace. Argentine President Mauricio Macri said that he will increase subsidies for poor families with children by 46%. This comes as the centre-right leader prepares to run a second term in October. In his annual State of the Union address to Congress, Macri vowed to continue his program of investment-friendly reforms, and despite being jeered by opposition lawmakers who favour a bigger government role in Latin America's third-largest economy. Argentina is currently struggling with high inflation and a shrinking economy. There is no end to protest against Israeli Prime Minister Benjamin Netanyahu. Israel's Labour Party organized a convoy of cars with black flags to pass Netanyahu's residence in Jerusalem on Friday to demand his resignation after he was charged with corruption. Labour Party said that Israelis are ashamed of their Prime Minister and want him to resign on Thursday. Israel's Attorney General recommended criminal charges against Netanyahu in a series of corruption cases. Netanyahu has rejected all the corruption allegations. In Germany's Hamburg, thousands of students skipped class to call for action against global warming. This was a part of a string of protests that have taken place in cities around the world over recent months. Students held banners featuring slogans such as "March now" or "Swim later," a reference to rising sea levels from melting ice caps. A rally in Germany's northern port city was led by Swedish teen activist Greta Thunberg, who has become a prominent voice in campaigns against climate change.
If they don't do anything, then we have to do something. And
Flowers have begun to blanket most parts of South and East China, the onset on spring, as tourists begin to flock in. Xinjiang County in South China's Guangdong province has turned into a sea of flowers, with the grounds painted in shades of white, pink and red. The golden rapeseed flower has created magic along the Xinjiang River.